This is episode 12. Welcome, fellow anglers, to the Good Karma Sport Fishing Podcast. I am Captain Ryan Van Fleet, your host here in the Florida Keys. Each week I bring you fishing tips, interviews, gear reviews, and more to help you maximize your fishing trip, catch big fish, and overall have fun. Before I begin today's podcast, I wanted to let you guys know that this is not a paid advertisement for AtlasTrax. In other words, they're not sponsoring me or paying me to do the podcast. So I just wanted to get that out there. I think AtlasTrax is great for many reasons. And I'm going to talk about it here now. So I first found out about AtlasTrax a little over 2 years ago, as I was looking for a boat and safety, like a boat safety and security tracking device. There's a lot of them out there, so many that it like really confused me. Still confuses me. So, anyways, I had been using the spot tracker for about 3 years, but I was very unhappy with it for many reasons. Now, what is the AtlasTrax? Now, the AtlasTrax provides equipment and services to track your location on the water. The GPS system keeps you connected with voice, data, and the internet. AtlasTrax provides equipment and services for boats of all sizes and types on its proven boat tracking and monitoring system. Since I was struggling with the spot tracker, I started doing some further research on the AtlasTrax. It took me a while to finally buy it because, I was using the spot tracker, but there's also a ton of GPS tracking devices on the market. Most of the devices are they're way overpriced or underpriced. Also, with tracking devices, you need to make sure you get personal service, not automated service or contract service to help you when you need it. In other words, you don't want to have to call. In other words, you don't want to get somebody from India that's trying to help you on the phone in the middle of the night. So that's a contract service. So you got to make sure you guys do your homework before you purchase a tracking device. So further, I was also hesitant about trusting the reviews about the AtlasTrax. They were all good. And with so much influencer marketing and social media and people just promoting stuff to get free stuff on Instagram, it's a bit overwhelming. And you start to doubt who's really authentic. It's just the world that we live in now. I talk about this in episode 006, how to find the best fishing products on Instagram. You have to be careful, and you really have to do your homework, guys. So I was looking at the tracker. I was looking for a tracker that kept historical data in a database that I could easily pull up and had some good satellite overlay. I wanted to use it as a fishing log and find new fishing spots as well as a tracker. So finding an application that was user-friendly and could clearly utilize the Google Earth was also on my list. I've got a pretty big list. I just didn't want to buy a boat security tracker. So I've got a buddy. His name's Alfredo. He's the team captain for the Frustrated Amateurs. Great guy. So his team's very family oriented. I would, if you guys want to give him a follow, and it's Frustrated Amateurs on Instagram, and his wife manages the Ladies Frustrated Amateurs account. So. He promotes some really good products, and he stands by the products that he promotes, so I trust his influence. I also know that he'd not steer me in the wrong direction, as he's never done so in the past with product referrals. So I gave Alfredo a call because he had made a post about using the AtlasTrax. I asked him, "Hey man, does it work?" He said, "Yes, it's a tracker on steroids." And when I asked about his about the customer service part of it, he told me that I'd be dealing with the owner and the president, Carolyn Stash, directly, and she was very good. Then I was like, okay, man, this is the real deal. So I gave Carolyn, he gave me Carolyn's direct number to call. Now, when it comes to purchasing an item like the AtlasTrax, it's best to actually call and speak to someone that uses the tool or email them. This holds true before buying a new reel brand or spending money on a custom rod built by someone you've never worked with before. One thing I want you all to know is that it's okay to reach out to someone promoting a brand, guys. Ask them hard questions. If they don't respond to you, then, don't buy the product from them. if they don't respond, that typically means they got something for free and wanted to brag about it by posting a picture. These people are like hoarders. Stay the hell away from them. They're just bad for So follow someone that can provide you value and you can get to the next level with. I can only imagine the amount of crap they have in their garage. Those are the people that hoard the crap and then they sell it in their garage sales. Um, anyway, so I called the number Alfredo gave me for Carolyn, and I was just blown away. She actually picked up the phone and walked me through the tracker in detail and its full capabilities. I was just shocked. The customer service is fantastic. So I ordered the Mini-Trax GPS tractor from her, and it arrived within 2 days later. It was fast shipping too. Um, Now, about the tracker, it's great size. It's 3 by 2 inches. It's waterproof. Runs off of portable or battery power, but it can also be hardwired off a 12-volt battery. Also, there's no antenna required, so it's covert, and it's super easy to install. Now, there's a really cool article that was published on August 1st in the Coastal Angler magazine Fort Lauderdale, Florida edition, titled "Built in Broward." So this caught my attention because I had just recently purchased the AtlasTrax, and I wanted to read a little bit more about it and the history here. So it talks in depth about how AtlasTrax came to be. Now, at her former place of employment, the article goes on to say that Carolyn was tasked to get some insurance for a triple outboard boat. The insurance company would not let her insure the boat without a satellite GPS tracker due to the high risk of theft on the boat. So she went on a mission to find a tracker and found the same thing I did: nothing. This is too funny. So, she wasn't able to find anything that really worked or had reliable customer service. So she was in the same boat I was. So she had a connection in the aviation industry that specialized in tracking aircraft and began building AtlasTrax. What I really liked when I read I liked about AtlasTrax is that about how she built it was she hustled the docks and built the company like using some grassroots marketing and sales tactics. The trackers sold themselves once the boat owners actually saw the capabilities of the tracker at work. One thing I do want to say is that the cell phone service in the Florida Keys is not the most reliable at times when you're fishing outside the reef. Now, VHF radios are great tools, but they're not 100%. So on every charter, I have someone, either it be my wife or someone I can trust, keep an eye on me through the AtlasTrax hyperlink and the Google Map. And I have someone back at the dock monitor our exact position on the computer screen. It feels really good to have the eye in the sky watching you. So, next I'm going to talk about dialing in with the AtlasTrax. Now, AtlasTrax records your boat movement as an event over the course of your fishing trip. Boat positioning, like I mentioned in episode 10, is one of the most important tools when it comes to catching fish while drifting over a wreck or a piece of structure. Wind and current velocities offshore change from day to day, which can dictate where fish hold in relationship to a wreck. Now, just because they're holding in one place does not mean they're going to hold there the next day. Now, conditions change daily, and sometimes they can change 2 to 4 times throughout the course of only a few hours, and that's the truth. Wind and current, they work together. They move you around a lot. I had that happen to me yesterday. So, oh my gosh, what a day. But if you have detailed records of a spot over time telling you how the wind and current will move you, you can quickly learn how to effectively fish the area. You can also get the boat positioned quickly because you now have some historical data. Thanks to the AtlasTrax, when the wind and tide are moving in a certain direction on any given day, it tells you where you need to be to get fishing quickly. So in other words, it saves you a lot of time on the water, and you're making the most out of your time thanks to the AtlasTrax. And most importantly, you have data that tells you, what spots to stay away from when the wind and current are not jiving right for the certain spots. I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret. Now, remember, I'm doing these podcasts to help provide you with fishing tips that help you make the most out of your time on the water. Now, part of being a good bottom fisherman or wahoo fisherman is knowing where to be on the right tide and being prepared to move spots based on the tide and the wind. Now, I say this time and time again, fish have fins and they swim, guys, meaning they will relocate when the current or tide changes. So you have to be prepared to move with them or have a good idea where they're going to be on any given day. Certain spots produce only at certain times of the day, or when the current and wind is out of a certain direction, or when the tide is rising and falling. I was taking a lot of material and notes on this and documenting as much as I could, but to be honest, I got frustrated until I started using the AtlasTrax. So now I've been using the AtlasTrax as part of my detailed fishing log. It's like I've got a database now. It's just so accurate. At the end of the day, I print my boat movement track event for each wreck or structure I fished on the day, and then I document the wind and tide and current directions. I now have about 3 months worth of data. And I had been trying to draw these drifts I make, but that's the old school way. You draw them in a log book and all that good stuff. But that was not working out so well for me. I'm not an artist by far. You should see some of the old pictures of fish I used to try to draw when I was young. Oh boy. Anyways, so I now have a detailed record on where these fish are holding on days when the wind and current are out of a certain direction. 9 out of 10 times the historical data is accurate. And when I get to a wreck spot that I have gathered detailed data on, I quickly line up my drift and get on the fish without having to take the time to plan the drift. Time is money in the charter fishing world. Thanks to the AtlasTrax, I'm able to spend more time catching fish than calculating drifts. This tracking system is that detailed. You got to try it out for yourself. I strongly believe in putting away the pen and the pencil and use the AtlasTrax technology to get you dialed in on tracking fish patterns and movement. Oh, and another tip, I also refer back to the solar lunar charts for the day and document that as well. Here's a personal story for you. On a recent trip, I wanted to fish this ditch spot in like 1,000 foot of water off Islamorada. It was the ditch I calculated to be about 1.5 miles long when using the AtlasTrax. I knew it would be my best shot at finding a good upswelling with a lot of bait along an existing weed line that I already knew was there, but I wanted to focus in on one particular spot on the weed line because I knew that was where I could get fish quickly without having to hunt for them. I wanted to get my Mahi limit quickly for the client and then go do some bottom fishing because what was happening is we had a run of afternoon showers and they were the showers were had a lot of lightning in them, so I just didn't want to get caught with my pants down way offshore and having to run back home against it and then cut my fishing trip short. So anyways, I needed to be back to a certain spot by a certain time to get on the fish. Get on some bottom fish before calling it a day. So I hit this ditch spot. I lost about a 450-pound blue marlin, and I quickly limited out on gaffer dolphin, and then I made my return home. Back to the not return back home, but return to my bottom fishing spot where I got some really nice vermilion snappers before I called it quits. Now I used the AtlasTrax to get the exact location of this ditch spot using the latitude and longitude finder tool. I entered the spot into the GPS before I left. So what I also did was I entered the start location of the ditch and the end location of the ditch. So I want you guys to refer to my show notes for a detailed picture of the track for the detailed track for the ditch spot off Islamorada. Now it probably has other names out there. There's so many names for different spots that these guys talk about on the radio, and honestly, I don't listen to the radio because it's just not my thing. So um, now you may want to give this fishing spot a try for yourself sometime if you're offshore. I won't give the coordinates, but you can use your new AtlasTrax to see the details of the spot, and also you're going to note about 1,000 other spots in the Florida Keys. Don't waste money on those free GPS spot chips they're selling online. You don't know what you're going to get. Purchase an AtlasTrax and mark your own spot. Let's talk a little bit about the cost of the Mini-Trax unit that I'm using. The Mini-Trax unit cost me $514, and the message package was $365, and that's an annual fee. Now the total shipping, with shipping, it was $894. Now their website is AtlasTrax.com. You can give Carolyn Stash a call at 954-465-3743. When you speak with her, let her know that you found out about the AtlasTrax from Captain Ryan Van Fleet in the Florida Keys through the Good Karma Sport Fishing Podcast. Now, I'll put this information in the show notes as well. I think by now you can tell I'm really happy with my AtlasTrax. And no, this is not a paid promotion or even a discounted purchase. It's legit. So I'm going to wrap this up by saying the AtlasTrax has more tools to offer than just a tracking system you put on your boat and leave. Use the AtlasTrax to put more fish in your boat. Well, that's it for today, guys. Thank you for listening. If you have any feedback, comments, questions, or suggestions, I would like to hear from you. You can find me on Facebook at Good Karma Fishing Charters, Instagram at Good Karma Sport Fishing _FL_Keys, or you can email me at goodkarmaryan@gmail.com. Please also share this podcast with a fellow angler and check out my website, goodkarmasportfishing.com, and sign up for the monthly newsletter. I aim to provide you with fishing tips and information so you can make the best out of your time fishing. Most important, just remember, anytime you're fishing, it's all good. Well, that's it for today, guys. Thank you for listening. If you have any feedback, comments, questions, or suggestions, I would like to hear from you. You can find me on Facebook at Good Karma Fishing Charters, Instagram at Good Karma Sport Fishing _FL _keys, or you can email me at goodkarmaryan@gmail.com. Please also share this podcast with a fellow angler and check out my website, goodkarmasportfishing.com, and sign up for the monthly newsletter. I aim to provide you with fishing tips and information so you can make the best out of your time fishing. Most important, just remember, anytime you're fishing, it's all good.